Hello, welcome to Life in the Pit. This is David Lane, and I hope that you're doing well, and it's great to be with you once again. I'm actually in the process of packing to get ready to go to NAMM in Anaheim, and I'm going to be there for a few days. And, again, if you're going to be in that area, if that's something that you're also doing, and if you're a listener to the show, definitely I would love to connect with you, so, definitely send me a message. If you would like to meet, have a coffee or something, and just have a chat, talk about your time in the pit, or any things you like or some suggestions you'd have for the show, would definitely love to meet you. This is just a short little follow-up episode from the episode that I released this past Friday, which was episode 70 with Angela McCuiston. And if you haven't listened to that episode, I'd highly recommend it. Angela is a personal trainer of Music Strong Fitness, and we talked about strength training and injury prevention for musicians. So I think it's a very important episode that I would highly recommend that you check out. But she's also a pit musician, and we really didn't talk anything about that. But there is a story from our conversation that I wanted to make sure that had its own episode. And this is a response that she had, and by the way, she plays flutes and piccolos. This is a response that she had to, what is a funny story that you have from your time in playing for the pit?
Hands down, the funniest thing that happened was when I was back at Florida State for my master's. I was in opera orchestra for 5 seasons. I think technically you're only supposed to do 1. Mm-hmm. I did 5, including the summer. It was so much fun. I absolutely love opera orchestra. It's got to be one of my absolute favorites. Mm-hmm. And one semester, I can't remember which, but one semester we were doing, and of course I don't remember exactly what the piece was, but we were doing an opera that I couldn't believe they needed me for, because my part was literally the opening overture and the last act, the very last piece on the very last, whatever it was.
Right.
It was all like, I think it was piccolo. So I can't remember. It was like, I want to say Vivaldi, and that's wrong. So like, could have been Verdi or something. I don't know, but it was, right. It was an older opera. And I just thought, the beginning and the end? Are you serious? And so, after the first rehearsal, I'm sitting there for like, hours, and the director looks down at me and he goes, "You don't have to stay." But really? Yeah. Yeah. So I just snuck out of the pit. And the funny thing is, this was at Ruby Diamond Auditorium. So if you see Florida State, like that's the castle looking building on campus with the giant fountain in front. Mm-hmm. And that's where we were having it. And I lived at the end of the street. Yeah. Directly opposite, like 2 blocks down, mm-hmm. like only maybe 3, And so I would just like sneak out and sneak back in before my last thing. And it was not like the ending credits. It was like the last piece. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was the last thing before the credits and the bows stuff. And right. It was so it wasn't like a solo, but it was heavily prominent in my instrument. Right. Well, you might guess where this is going, but I was successful. Yep. All at the time it mattered. Yep. So I got in the habit of like playing my part, sneaking out of the pit, walking home, eating dinner, doing laundry, blah, blah, coming back and finishing the opera. Well, one of the nights that we played, and I think there were only 2 or 3 performances of this, mm-hmm. I snuck out, did my usual, and I think I went home, I finished eating dinner, I did a load of laundry, and I thought, okay, now it's time to go back. And so I go back and I timed it wrong. I sneak up to the pit and I hear them already playing the piece I'm supposed to be playing at the very end. Oh. I thought, how do you fail opera orchestra when you don't even play? I'm like, well, this is it. This is exactly how I fail. And so I open it. I'm like, I can't sit here. So I open the door, and the director, everybody's playing, and I sneak in through the instruments, and the director just looks down from his perch, this lofty perch, and just gives me the evil eye. And I was like, oh, sorry, I did it wrong. And he didn't fail me. He didn't. It was just the one time. And, we all make mistakes, but I thought of all the things. Right. This is at the very end. And it was all, the audience didn't know, but it was a lot of flute. Or I think it was like piccolo in the beginning and piccolo at the end. Like, right. Really? It's just not fair. So that's got to be my funniest story, because I thought there's no way you can mess up opera orchestra. Yes, you can. You can fail to show up for the end because you were doing laundry.
I'm gonna have to figure out what that is. You're probably more right with Verdi. I think I'm not sure when piccolo was even invented, if it was around for Vivaldi or not. But Verdi, it seems like something he might do. Like, Verdi's the only person I ever know that wrote something in the key of D flat minor, which doesn't actually exist. You have to have a double flat to make it happen. Yeah,
right. But and I don't remember if it was piccolo or if it was recorder and I was playing it on piccolo, or if it was flute. I mean, this was a while ago. Right. But I wanted to say it was from like the Handel Haydn era, because I was thinking, well, this is really early. Yeah. Interesting. I honestly don't remember, but it was the overture and the end. Right. Not nice.
I almost wonder how other people would handle that in contracting. It seems like they would almost have a doubling of some kind.
That would have made more sense. But, yeah. I mean, I was at school for this, so it didn't matter. I mean, It's not like we were getting paid, so it didn't matter. Right. I mean, I seriously thought I was going to fail. I felt lowest of the low, like I have just abused the privilege. Right. Oh my gosh. And like everybody knew it. Everybody knew it, because I was only there for the beginning and the end, and then I wasn't there. Right. There's one play I did. It wasn't a musical. It was a version of The Great Gatsby where I was just playing a piano for scene changes. And act one, I'm on probably, I don't think I have a break longer than like 8 or 9 minutes. But act two, I play at the beginning, and then I don't play again until the very end. And Same thing.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just trusting because I had speakers downstairs, and I had a book to read. And I'm like, I'm just hoping that I keep an ear out for the lines, and make sure that I know where I am. Because that was the hardest part of it, that show, is don't miss the ending. But right. And I've played plenty of shows in the pit where that's the situation. Like, you come in and you basically just bring a book. Yep. But you're living in the pit, they can't see you. As a conductor, you don't get much chance to leave. The only time I've ever been able to is in Oklahoma. Because Oklahoma has some long scenes, in particular in Act 2. And one time I really had to go to the bathroom, and I knew where that one scene was. I was like, okay, I've got at least 4.5 minutes before the next song says. Yep. That was one of my favorite musicals. Yeah. That I actually had. That and Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. Oh, yeah. Oh, those are such great pieces to play in. One of my earlier guests was actually a former high school classmate. He was at Florida State in the early 90s is when he was there. Mm-hmm. And I was very surprised, because I know that Florida State is a big school, but he said the theater department, when he was there, had like no more than maybe a dozen, like 12, 15 at a time. They were very selective. And very, yeah. Yeah. The music that was department, really small. Yeah, the music department's, bigger. Of course, it has to be because marching chiefs and everything. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was sizable. I remember there was one year we played that I was in the opera orchestra. We did Fidelio, which was really cool. And what was funny is they brought in this baritone from New York. It wasn't even a student. Oh. So I think there's some validity to that. That's funny. I don't know if it's still that way, but they were pretty selective. It was not a large, like the opera department is not large at all. Right. At least I don't think it was when I was there, and I graduated in 2005. Now you were there as a master's student. Were you ever recruited to marching band? Was that something that they asked you to do? No. I was a teaching assistant, so a lot of my students were in marching chiefs, and they all loved it. Oh yeah, they absolutely loved it. Well, I was considering going to Florida State for my undergraduate degree, but I went to another university in Florida that didn't have a football team, so they didn't have a marching band. And when I got there, I just felt relief, because I really wanted to sink my teeth into some concert music. But, it's one of those things that it would have been pretty cool to have been in a marching band that's on national television. Right. And then, they've got the flaming spear, and he rides in on the horse and the whole bit. I mean, I did see one football game. Right. So
I don't football,
Right.
but I went once to say I went because I could go for free. And, I know it's a big deal. And I'm like, that was actually pretty cool when he rode out there with the headdress and the horse. And the horse was just chill the whole time. I thought that was pretty cool. And the marching men did a great job.
So if you said 05, so you caught a pocket when they weren't very good. They were really good. They were really good in the 90s, like super,
Right.
But then, Florida State fans know 2001 to 2009 is the lost decade. That's what they call it.
Wasn't Bobby Bowden still there?
He was there, and about a decade past his prime. It's like the game was changing, and he was not, and so forth. But in the 90s, he was on top of his game, and so forth. But yeah, it's funny. I've only seen Florida State play where I live because they're in the same conference as Wake Forest, and so when they come here, I usually try to go to the games.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry I don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
I know I probably should, but I'm not. I don't sports. I pick up stationary objects.
Right.
That's kind of why I picked it. Though. There's no hand-eye coordination.
And that's it for this bonus segment. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this little short episode. There will not be any other episodes this week. I will hopefully have something for you. It might be on the short side, but something new for you to listen to on June 10th. Until then, thank you for listening.